Transform your ordinary photos into stunning, glamorous portraits with just a few Photoshop techniques. Hi everyone. In today's video, I'll guide you step by step to add that wow factor. Let's dive in and create some magic. First, let's enhance the highlights of the portrait. Start by creating a new adjustment layer and adding a levels adjustment. Adjust the sliders to maximize the highlights and rename this layer to Highlight for better organization. Next, open the blending options by double-clicking on the layer. Refine the effect by adjusting the sliders for the underlying layer. Hold down the Alt key or Option key on Mac and split the slider to create a smoother transition. Tweak it until you achieve balanced highlights on the portrait. While some areas may still appear uneven, don't worry, we'll address this next. Once done, click OK. Now press Ctrl or Command-I to invert the mask. Select the brush tool by pressing the shortcut key B and press D to reset to the default black and white colors. Reduce the brush opacity to 20% and carefully paint over the areas where you want the highlights to appear. Look over the lips also. You can build up the intensity by painting over the same areas multiple times if needed. Yes, that looks much better now. In the next step, we'll enhance the eyes for a captivating look. Start by selecting the background layer and creating a new adjustment layer. Add a levels adjustment and maximize the highlights by adjusting the sliders. Rename this layer to Eyes for easy reference. For this layer, we won't adjust any blending settings. Next, press Ctrl or Command-I to invert the mask. Select the brush tool by pressing B and reduce the brush opacity to 20% for a more controlled application. Carefully paint over the eyes to enhance them, adding depth and brightness. Notice how the eyes instantly come to life. In this step, we'll focus on adding dark shading to specific areas to enhance the glamorous look. Start by selecting the background layer and creating a new adjustment layer. Add a levels adjustment and adjust the sliders to emphasize the shadows and darker tones. Rename this layer to Dark Shade. Next, press Ctrl or Command-I to invert the mask. Select the brush tool by pressing B, reduce the brush opacity to 5%, and carefully paint over the areas where shading is needed. Focus on areas such as the cheekbones, jawline, and other contours that can benefit from added depth and definition. Let your creativity guide you as you refine the shadows to complement the highlights. Notice how the subtle shading enhances the facial structure and adds a touch of elegance to the overall look. To add shine or highlights to the hair, create a levels adjustment layer and adjust the sliders to enhance the highlights. Focus on getting the sliders to a point where the hair appears shiny and glowing. Don't worry about it being too intense, as we'll refine it later. Rename the layer to Hair. Next, press Ctrl or Command-I to invert the mask. Then, select the brush tool by pressing B, reduce the brush opacity to 20% and carefully paint over the areas of the hair where you want to add shine. You can layer your strokes to create a soft, natural glow, adding depth and vibrance to the hair as per your style and creativity. To give a warm brown tone to this portrait, start by creating an adjustment layer and selecting Solid Color. Double-click on the color swatch and choose a soft brown tone. Rename this layer to Tone. Next, change the blending mode from normal to soft light for a natural overlay effect. Press Ctrl or Command-I to invert the mask. Then, go to the Edit menu and select Fill. Set the foreground color to white, adjust the opacity to 15%, and click OK. This will gently introduce the brown tone across the entire photo. Now, select the brush tool by pressing B, reduce the brush opacity to 20%, and carefully paint over areas where you want to enhance the brown tone, such as the hair, eyeshadow, and other features. Finally, you can adjust the brightness and contrast if needed. It completely depends on your image. Create an adjustment layer, select brightness or contrast, and adjust the values according to what your image requires. And that's it. See at the transformation with before and after. Your portrait now has a beautiful, glamorous glow with enhanced details and highlights. I hope you like this video. Be sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to ring the bell so you'll always be in the loop for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, stay with us and never stop creating.